Product management? Is that something related to project management or is that more of a marketing function? Which one is it? If you are having similar questions about product management, then you're watching the right video. Hi, I'm Shri, and in this video, you'll learn about what is product management. Before we dive into the details, please do watch my previous video about why to get into product management. With that, let's get started. If you search the internet about product management, you will see a variety of definitions, ranging from product management is an intersection of business, design, and technology, to product management is a function that is responsible for all aspects of product lifecycle as defined in Wikipedia, to product management is responsible for all aspects of product experience for the customers. These are all right definitions, but these definitions are very hard to grasp what really product management is and what is the day-to-day life of a PM or a product manager look like. So I like to use the definition given by Sachin Reiki in one of his videos for Warden School. And Sachin Reiki defines it as product management drives the vision, strategy, design, and execution of a product. And I've added a little twist to it. If you see there's or owns in brackets, because driving versus owning depends upon the company or the organization the product manager is in. So let's break this further down and really understand what driving here means. So driving here means the product manager is taking inputs from various stakeholders and departments like PR, engineering, talking to customers, UX, finance, support, legal, and then defining and deciding on what is the vision, what is the strategy, what the design should look like, how should we execute on this product, right? So product manager is at the center of this decision engine. And to go deeper into this, as the product manager is driving and defining all these aspects, the scope of the entire product is throughout the entire product lifecycle, right? So as you can see here in the right in the chart, you have time on the x-axis and sales on the y-axis. And as you can see, the product starts with the introduction phase, where there's very less sales. You're still figuring out the market. And once you have done that, there's the growth mode, wherein your sales numbers really pick up. Then you reach maturity of the product. And then from then, it can go two ways. One is it can regrow with new strategies, new visions, new executions, or it could just decline from there on, right? So a product manager is taking inputs from all these different stakeholders, defining and driving vision, strategy, design, and execution across the entire product lifecycle. So this is all good, but how did we actually end up with this definition of product manager? So that actually took a lot of years of evolution. So let's briefly take a segue into the history of product management. So the first known product management note was in 1930s when P&G or Procter & Gamble published a memo of something called brand men, wherein they're responsible for tracking sales, product, ads, and promotions, right? And then in 1940s, Hewlett and Packard organized their entire company into product groups as they wanted to kind of listen to customers and then apply those learnings into the product designs and requirements. And then in the 60s, we had a lot of brands like Lipton, Tide, and so on and so forth, which are in the consumer goods, have this new role called brand managers who were responsible for brand positioning, price, promotions, packaging, marketing. But as you can see, still in the 60s, they weren't much involved with the day-to-day aspects of the product development. So that started in the 80s with Intuit coming up with software product managers, which kind of merged these two different disciplines, which is product management plus product development, right? And then in the 2000s is when the modern era of product managers began with the advent of Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, and a bunch of startups adopting this new product manager definition that I've laid out previously, who kind of drive the vision, strategy, design, and execution, right? So as you can see, the modern product manager era only started very recently, right, in the 2000s, so only about 20 years. And so it's still evolving as we go, and a lot of people still are trying to redefine what is a product manager. But if you take a look at the word product manager and look at Google Trends for it, as you can see, the graph here at the bottom, the trend is actually going up, right, for the last 5 years. So there's more and more people searching for product managers, and there's more and more employers posting jobs for product managers as they recognize the value of product management. A little detail here is you can see there's a lot of spikes in this graph, and that is because it's seasonal. People don't post as many jobs, or people don't search for as many jobs during December timeframe, right? So now all this is fine. Now let's get into what actually a product manager does. So what do PMs do? PMs at the end of the day, they are responsible for the success or the failure of the product, right? And again, this depends on company to company and organization to organization. But at high level, they are involved with the why, what, when, and how of the product. What I mean by each of these, the why is coming up with a business case to start a new product or feature. What are the requirements? What is a product vision? When should we do it? What features should we prioritize? What are the timelines like? And how should the technical implementation or the high-level architecture should be, right? So as I use the word here, involvement, meaning that they're not equally involved throughout all these stages or steps within the product, right? So if you see the funnel on the left, the area of the funnel is proportional to the involvement level. So they're heavily involved in the why, the what, but then it gradually decreases in the when, and then it's very narrow, as you can see, the funnel in the how, right? The how is it's collaborative and something that PMs work with project managers, program managers, and if it's a technical company, with engineering to work through the how part, right? So this is at a high level, but to paint a story of how or what the PM actually does in more detail, let's take a story wherein, let's imagine you are a PM within a household and you have a family. And let's think that your grandmother is the head of the family, and your grandmother says to you that, hey, you know what? In a long period of time, we haven't had a celebration. We should invite some friends over and have a celebration, right? So that's very broad. So now what you do is you talk as a PM to your friends, family, and you see what do they like about celebrations in general. You read up on the internet of how successful celebrations look like. Or you actually look at your past celebrations you have done and what was successful, what was not met so well, and so on and so forth. Again, this is just an example, just to get the point across. So once you do all of that, then you define that the vision for a celebration should be about food. And we should be cooking the best meal your friends and family ever had. Right? And then you convince everybody, your family, to get on board with it. And after that, you decide the menu, right? What are all the dishes that you're going to serve? And then you work with a person, aka the program manager, to see what the budget is like, right? Who are all the people that should be involved? And then you go through the logistics with the help of program manager, right? That means, so there's several pieces to it. So once you've decided the menu, you need to go buy the ingredients. You need to prepare the vegetable, for example. You need to actually cook it. You need to send invites. And for each of these different modules, you could even have project managers. So, for example, a project manager taking care of getting all the ingredients along with your family members, right? So on and so forth. So once all of that is done, then you invite all your friends and families. So they have a lot of fun. You have a great celebration. And then you go ahead and collect feedback to gauge the success. So you talk to your friends, families, what did they love about it, what they disliked about it, what can you improve, so on and so forth, right? And then you report that back to your grandmother, share like all the great things that friends and family have said about the celebrations. And so she's happy as well, along with your family members. And then now you can kind of use this celebration for your future celebrations and create happiness for your family and your grandmom, right? And again, this is just to paint a very high level picture of what are the aspects that PM deals with. And even in the logistics, as I said, it's mostly dealt by program managers, project managers, but PMs are also involved and they roll their sleeves whenever needed, right? So using this as an example, let's go into the actual, let's say, a technical company and how a day-to-day PM's life plays out, right? So it can start with customer interviews where you're interviewing different customers. You have to also talk to a lot of stakeholders within a company and then set the visions, goals for the product, and also think about product roadmap, defining that, and writing product requirement documents, then prioritizing features in collaboration with all the stakeholders. And then you also look at the profit and loss, making sure your product is profitable. And then you also review UX mocks, if any. And you also work with engineering to review the high level engineering architecture if that meets with your product requirements that you've laid out. And also thinking about the pricing, contracts, working with legal and finance for that. And then also working with your marketing managers to come up with marketing collateral. And then also scaling your product up and kind of training salespeople and helping support people to kind of sell your product better, manage customer support, and so on and so forth. And this is a limited list. There's a ton more activities that a PM does, but these are the ones that are very prominent in a day in a life of PM, right? And as you can see on the left here, these are all the things that PMs spend most of their time. That is customer interviews up to feature prioritization, profit and loss up to sales and support managers, not so much, but they do spend a little bit of time, I would say. Right. So, and again, this depends and changes from company to company. What are all the different roles and responsibilities for the PM? So let's look at how the PM role varies across different companies using this X and Y axis I have laid out here. So as you can see, there's strategy and tactical, and there is also product marketing on the left, product development on the right? And where product managers fall is in this green bar I have laid out here, wherein they're more involved in the strategic vision, roadmaps, and less so on the day-to-day operational tactical, but they do get a little bit into the tactical as well, as you can see in this diagram. But they're definitely more towards product development. But they do also act as an interface for the marketing folks and kind of influencing how the product is marketed. Then you have project managers who are more into the tactical day-to-day logistics and operational aspects of the product, and even closer into the product development, right? And then you have program managers who are kind of very broad spectrum, as you can see here, all the way from product marketing towards product development, and they can be both strategic as well as tactical, depending upon the seniority of the role. And then you have marketing managers who are way into the product marketing zone here, and they're both strategic as well as tactical. And again, these roles are not written in stone. They can vary based on the seniority of the role. And why this is important to note is the title of product manager in different companies and industries could mean a lot of different things. by product manager, they could actually mean a marketing manager or a project manager or a program manager. So it takes some kind of reviewing a lot of titles and descriptions to know if that is a right kind of product manager you want to get into. So how do you tell? How do you know? That will be the topic of my next video, which is going to be about researching PM jobs so that you can look at title and description and then kind of see what kind of product manager role it is, right? And also, it would cover if you are not currently a product manager, how do you get into product management? Like if you're an engineer, how do you make that transition? If you are a data scientist, how do you make that transition? Or if you're a project program manager, how do you get into product? So I hope this video was helpful for you and you got some insights into what product management is all about. And if you have more questions about what is product management, please do leave your comments below. So stay tuned. Bye for now.